Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world. I had to make sure my mic was on. I'm getting ready to flip it for you, Casey. So don't worry about that, brother. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, The Art. Where does it say that on here? Right there. The Art of Monty Anderson, right there. There you go. That is who I am, and that is who you are here to see. So, welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Hope you're all having a great day. Hopefully, you all are having a great weekend. Or had a great weekend, not having, but had a great weekend. And welcome, Casey. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Got your coffee in hand. Are you ready for a fun, bumpy ride? You got the spoonbill next to you, feeding it some fishes. Not tuna of the sea. Sorry, this is some Loctite. I got to get that on there right. That's how I fixed my alien foot. This foot broke it off. It was hollow inside, so I had to fix it. But yeah, that's how I fixed it. So, welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson here, your host here at 412 Productions, The Art of Monty Anderson. And how are you all doing? Today's title is Getting in That Grind. Putting in that grind, getting it going. Been working on my chicken coop past couple days, and I'm excited. It's actually framed in. It isn't the prettiest thing in the world, but it's framed in and ready to rock and roll. I'm going to be working on the interiors today, most likely. It is 30 degrees here right now, so it is a little chillier than normal. So, yeah, no. Um, it's not as chilly as where Casey is, obviously, but we don't have no snow on the ground, and it isn't in the negative temperatures. But, we're down here in the South. No, we don't live on plantations. And we are not, split up into parishes. We're not Louisiana. You got this parish, you got this parish, you got this district. All those good things. Well, welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and follow as you get here. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things from horror movies to sci-fi movies to Alaska. Maybe we'll be talking about, fires and fireplaces, and got me a fire barrel out there actually by the work site, and been keeping it going with some of the trash limbs that have been laying around for quite a while, and they're in the dry, so they go up pretty quick. But that little burn barrel has come in handy again. You know, that's how I get some nice wood ash for the chickens as well. They like to dust bath in it, and that keeps any parasites off of their skin. So it's a win-win all the way around when you use wood ash with your chickens. You don't have to worry so much with ducks and geese. Their feathers are so full and pressed against each other that you don't have to worry about, a lot of parasites getting on them like mites or lice or anything like that. So that's just a little bit of information when you have a homestead. Now, we are grinding away on this piece as well. It is coming along quite nicely. It is looking fantastic. Even the owner that's already bought it and paid for it uh, thinks it looks cool. So I got some more colorization to do. Got some yellowing of her hair down there on Pris, and then I've got to color in all the background back there. But this is a combination of all kinds of things, from marker to watercolor to um, two different kinds of marker actually, and a alcohol marker and a water-based marker. The water-based marker that the girlfriend picked up off the TikTok shop. These little acrylic markers right here, double-ended, two different colors as you can see on each end, and these are pretty awesome actually, because whenever you do color in with these, you don't get that non-blending effect like you get sometimes with the alcohol marker. So these blend in really nice, um, and you can't see where you colored in on them. Okay, um, and the other thing is with these, you can color on your paper and then do another color over the top of it, and like an alcohol marker, and the alcohol marker actually goes around this. like it did right here on this gray section up here, where you see the light right here, how it is. You can still see the yellows coming through, like the beams of light coming down from the light post. So that's some cool features about these markers. So just a little, if you're on the fence about getting these acrylic markers through the TikTok shop, go for it. Go ahead and do it. If you're an artist, or if you just like to color on, um, your color by number books and things like that, get these. They're really good. I'll probably end up getting some more after the holidays, unless somebody out there wants to gift me some. That would be awesome. That's always fun when you get gifts from your fellow patrons out there. All right, so yesterday I spent the majority of the day up until probably about feeding time, which is 5 o'clock now with the way the sun sets now. This is the time of year I hate. Let's just be honest. Once the sun starts setting at about 8 o'clock at night, you know, let's go ahead and abolish daylight savings times at that point in time. But with that being said, it was 5 o'clock whenever I quit last night. I had just gotten the last portions of the building set, the chicken coop, meaning all the walls up. Now I've got to go in and start setting up the inside, which means I've got to take the brooder box, which is in the front room, which used to have guinea pigs in it, which used to have a possum in it, and all those are gone now. And so I've taken the top tree portion off, which is a climbing section for the possum, to be honest. And I'm going to take and cap off the end, put that out there on its side so that the door raises up and the chicks can come out or go in. Mainly go out once they're ready, and so that we can feed them and all that good stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting that out of the front room because it's a monstrosity in and of itself. It's over 7 foot long, so I can lay down in it comfortably. And no, it's not a casket, because that would be like putting a screen door on a submarine. Really, really helpful because it does have screen around it so that the has some airflow in it. So once I get that out there, that'll be cool. I'm gonna raise it up 4 inches off the ground because I still have to pour the concrete floor in there, which I'll be doing myself. So I've got all that. We got to level the ground, then we've got to put all that stuff in there. But I also want to keep it off the ground so it doesn't get any dry rot, just in case it does get wet or anything like that in there. Which we haven't had a good rain, so I can go in there and just stand and see. Hey, there's a leak here. Hey, there's a leak here. Which, from what I understand from the last time that it rained, I didn't see any leaks on the ceiling. It wasn't wet or anything like that. So that's a plus in and of itself. Because did put insulation down on the roofing insulation, and then I sealed it with um, some rubberized tape, which is for specifically for camper tops, RV tops, and things like that, on the seams all the way around the whole thing, and it seemed to have held. So that's awesome. And now I'm looking forward to getting all the stuff on the inside done, which is the nesting bars, putting in the the nester boxes in there, on all on one row, so that they can just get up in there and chit chat with each other if they want to, back and forth. Hey, are you laying your egg over there? Yeah, good, cool, me too. But no, they don't do that. Actually, they like to be in a little spot secluded from everybody else. You know, only if she's a hoe. All right. So, as if anybody wants to read that, you go right ahead. But there's a lot of people that have a little bit more play in themselves than they think. If your girl is truly into you, she's not gonna follow anybody else. Sorry, bud. But if she's a player, then yeah, she's gonna go with anybody. So, well, I'm glad I could help you out with that answer. We try to have fun here, man. That's what this show is about. Um, so I didn't know which hat I was gonna wear, so I wore my Army veterans hat. Because I have my Elvira one over here too, the one that Casey likes out there, and it's a good one. I love it because Elvira is my jam, and always has been since I saw her as a kid. So, oh, you're welcome. Let's see here. When I was digging through stuff, of course, I always come across my cover of Psycho Sal #3, right there, professional comic book, right there. Yes, it is a full comic book. Yes, I will take it out and show you guys, right there. It is a full comic book. It's got a nice cover to it. It's very thick cardstock right there, and you know, if you want to be honest, I haven't even read it. I know what it's about, and it's a horror comic book. But in a horror comic book, I still would have shown the nudity in here, you know, because they don't. The closest you get is, you know, the hair covering up everything in there. So this is safe for work, so don't worry about that. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. My grandpa was a Vietnam vet, or no, Korea and World War II. So I totally get where you're coming from. I lost him in 2010, and so all those old soldiers from that era are passing on, and that's a bygone era that a lot of people just don't understand. Especially whenever they come back and they don't get the recognition they deserve. Because people are calling them things that they shouldn't be calling them. You know, and once we lose that generation, that's going to be a sad day. Because there's still some survivors that are in their hundreds from World War II. You know, and but they're not long for this mortal coil. Let's see here. I'll show you this one. I gotta do some cover ups. This one's got some bling bling on it. You can see it on her belly button ring right there. But she's also got some more bling bling in here as well, which I've got covered up. This is Vampirella, and if you get it, it is a one of one. Even if I were to draw another one like this one, it still wouldn't be the same. There would be a lot of differences. And the funny thing is with this one, I had started this um, comic with a different drawing on here. I was just doodling at a convention one day. And then it was just like, no, I don't like it. I'm going to redo it. And so I painted the entire cover because I had a paint that was the exact color of the cover. And I appreciate that. And so now this one can be yours out there, Santa, if you would like. You know, um, this girl can be yours. She's not a hoe, but she does like to munch down, right about in this area, a little bit. Cause some pleasure with some pain. Well, I'm completely, and a lot of wives wouldn't like that. But I painted the whole cover and then just redrew the whole thing. This one was a girlfriend's idea, my girlfriend's idea, and so again, I got to cover up some parts. But this is a bloody, disgusting house of slaughter. Of course, you can tell why I'm covering up certain parts. But she is completely dismembered, jaws gone, arms gone, torso, and you know, again, I don't have the one of one on this one, but I will because this is when I was still under a different moniker. I wasn't under this title, 412 Productions, that I am today. And then Faith from the Valiant Universe. Again, I've got to do some cover ups, just a little bit on this one. And this one, she's already doing it for me, but I'm still going to do it because I've been banned on this one as well because it was too real. Facebook actually dinged me on this one. Chun-Li, right there. Okay, cool. You go by next level graphics. That's awesome. I will check you out, and if you follow me, I'll follow you back. You know. So this one, I actually got uh, banned on Facebook because of she was too realistic. Uh, which I'm just going to show you because she's covering herself up. You know, right there. So I don't have to do it for you. Oh, and then my other professional comic book cover right here on the job number 3. And that's my lot in life is to be number 3 on everything so far because right here, Psycho Style number 3, the job number 3 for Legacy Comics right there. Oh, I get that. See, I just got restricted to some audiences because of, I'm going to submit my feedback. Uh, there we go. And submit. And I'm probably going to I've got a live restriction right now. I've got 2 restrictions just because of, showing fake art, showing fake people on a comic book cover, you know. And I didn't even say anything derogatory or anything like that. Now, getting to some of my original artwork from professional comic book artist Dan Fraga. This one is from many years ago. It needs to go up here with everything else that I've got on the wall. But this is a Dan Fraga original from like 97, 96. It was 96. It's when I met Marat Michaels at the same time. So this one was from 96, just like the Marat Michaels I've got sitting on my wall up there. So TikTok gets offended over a lot of things. That's why I have to say certain words in certain ways, like Schmiriel, Schmiller, you know, or Schmex, Strafficking. I've got to come up with creative ways to say things. This one is a max damage print that was signed by Robert Ledoux, number 77 of 400, right there. I met him back in the day in '96 at DEF CON. And then Kerry Gamil and Greg Adams, double signature on this one. This is a print of their artwork of Nightwing and Starfire. And this is a Bill Williams original right here. And then the Starman, I can't remember the artist name, but this one's from '97 right there. All these have to go up on my wall. I've had them around. And all these were free originals. These weren't the types how much you charge for your originals. And then Brad W. Foster in Sherman, Texas in '96. He's an interesting character. He does a lot of nudity and he does a lot of robots and organic type stuff. He's a pretty cool dude though. I wonder if he's still around. And then Donald, uh, I think it's Hash, '96 as well, an original from him as well. But again, all these were free, unlike conventions of today, where you go and you commission a piece and now it's costing you money. Everything on my wall I've gotten for free except for a couple pieces. Of course, the James O'Barr original I bought off of eBay. The Ken Hunts was actually a birthday present, so technically I got those for free. But the ex-wife had to tell me about it. But my Jordy Ensign, I can't tell you who that one is. I did the Catwoman, my Art Nichols piece, who's passed away, I think earlier this year. My Guy Gilchrist, another Max D original to go with the one over here. My Stephen Hughes, who's passed away from you know. And good morning. Welcome to the broadcast booth, finally, Roy. And then Joe Jusko, awesome piece right there. And then Jason Jensen, also from the Chaos Crew with Stephen Hughes. And then Marat Michaels up there as well. I've got a lot of prints and things over here as well. Another Kerry Gamil print from back in the day. That one was from '96 or '97 as well. But oh well, very cool. There's a coincidence right there. A serendipity moment right there. There you go. Um, but now we do a lot of things here when it comes to artwork. I'm working on a 8-page comic book right now for Legacy Comics as we speak. I'm working on 3 different commissions for one person. I've got a painting that I need to get sealed. I'm working on, of course, Ozzy Osbourne right here. I've got another one over there that I'm going to turn into t-shirts as well. So yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff happening. And so, Mister, I'm not going to use your first name there, Santa. I can use Bradley or Brad, but you know. um, but yeah, that one's going to be in the same vein as my Chester Bennington. These are all my shirts that I've got, by the way. If you want a comprehensive list, I'll send you one. But it's going to be in about the same vein as this on both of the Aussies that I'm working on. What I no, I'm going to be painting that piece up, just like you just saw that Chester Bennington there. Um, I did use a carpenter pencil on it to draw it. I've got all kinds of pens and pencils and charcoal and stuff like that that I use to get all my stuff worked on. And of course, there's a few pieces back here that are mine. That Venom piece up there is mine right there. That Billy the puppet on a saw blade right there. Art the clown right above Ozzy's head. And then down here is Etrigan the demon on the, yeah, right there. Right here. Etrigan the demon. Right there. A remark on the action figure. All of them are up for grabs. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I've been wanting to do that. And do you use the like a Dremel on it with the little attachment blade, or do you do the putty, the paste? Because I've been looking into that um, on those notes as well. We're up to 14,000 likes, which is great. Puts us in the popular live category for all of this. And like I said, uh, getting in the grind, putting in the grind. Sometimes you just don't feel like it. The tool, okay, awesome. And I see a lot of people do that, and that takes a good steady hand. And I could do it too. I've done a couple of tattoos. I'm not a tattooist, but the girlfriend has all the equipment, and she's done a bunch of her own tattoos on her hands and legs and stuff like that. And I did one tattoo on her, the Audrey character from Bendy, the little devil girl. So you know, but yeah, no, we do all kinds of stuff here. We also talk about preventions, different preventions, um, and you know, because life hits people hard, especially during the holiday seasons, especially when you've lost people. And we talk about all kinds of stuff here. Like I said, we talk about horror movies, sci-fi movies, um, original artwork, comic book artwork, my comic books that I'm working on. So I do have my own comic book in the works. I just haven't given a whole bunch of details on it, um, just because I don't want somebody else to run rampant with the idea of my design that I've got going on. So I keep it to a minimum when it comes down to it. Now, this live was restricted due to, I'm assuming, the fake drawings on comic books, on the blank comic book covers. But once this live ends, the restrictions will go away. Now, if I was banned or whatever, then the live show would have ended. Absolutely 100%. Um, and then I'd have to just do a recording like I'm doing already and just get it out to everybody later on, uh, post it to my page and all that good stuff. So just because I get a restriction, that just means my views drop dramatically. And if you are on the friends list, you will be able to see that I'm live if you've hit the notification, all that good jazzy jazz stuff with the little bell up top. So if you haven't done so, like, share, and follow, and that way we can get some more people in here. Which I'm okay with the low numbers, because by the end of the show, I usually have about 500 people that have watched, even if they didn't say anything in the broadcast. Like Roy and Santa or Brad and Casey in here. Everybody in here chimes in and does their part, which is awesome. because without you guys bantering back and forth, sometimes the show gets a little dry, and I understand that. You know, and I don't mean for it to get dry, but it's just like the old commercial, dry eyes, and how you've got to use a product up there. So, what's everybody doing out there? Why are you all awake this early? I know it's not just to see me. So, um, now some of you it could be just to see me. I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to see this ugly mug on your morning broadcast, but it is what it is. um, no, this is a time, if anybody's asking, like Santa, you might be asking, Roy, why don't you just throw some? Why don't you throw some mayonnaise in there too while you're at it, and maybe some ranch dressing to go in that macaroni and cheese. Does anybody else eat macaroni and cheese and ketchup? Because when he mixes it up, it looks like a brain soup. I'm just being honest. I've seen it. I've seen pictures of it, and it just looks like brains in a bowl. You know, so that pinkish color with the all mixed together. Yummy, yummy brains. Mm-mm-mm. So good. Just like in, what was it, the Red Dragon? When he's feeding Ray Liotta his own brain after he cooked it up. That smells good. What is it? And he gives it the fancy name, and he tells him it's a delicacy. And then he lets him eat it. Eat his own brain after it's been cooked up with some eggs. You know, all that goody goody. Well, I don't think that was cooked up with eggs. That was just cooked up straight brain. But yeah, no. So that's what I imagine you eating whenever you're eating that concoction right there, Roy. And that's just me. That's just my morbidity coming through. And I don't mind the morbidity coming through because that's what we talk about here, horror stuff and things like that. And Casey, again, I am proud of you, buddy, taking that leap into. I love brains and scrambled eggs and biscuits. See, there you go. Taking that deep dive into the Terrifier franchise with Art the Clown, who doesn't say anything, just honks the horn, those type things. So I'm proud of you, brother. You know, and that is a lot of people don't like the movies, like I said, just because it's not their taste or not their liking, and they just are like it's a stupid franchise and blah blah blah. And you're gonna get the naysayers and the negativities and all that stuff on anything that's out there. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be the most romantic movie ever made, and people would still hate it. You know, exactly. It's the facial expressions, it's the body movements, the horn honking. And but yeah, if we did that here, it'd be a boring show, just watching mannerisms. Um, and so yeah, the whole aspect, of people just hating. People just hate on everything. They people just can't be happy, you know. And that's the problem with our world today is that no one can be happy no matter what. Um, you could put a kitten and a puppy on a table, and someone would still find a negative aspect to bring up, you know, about the puppy and the kitten. You what movie or series we talking about? It's called Terrifier. Yes, it does start with a T, but not that shitty movie that you like to bring up. That See, I have a negative opinion about Twilight. It sucks. All right, there is nothing good about the series. So And now I see they've got a 30th anniversary book or something like that out now. And it's just like, give it a rest. It is the stupidest franchise in the world. Negative rant over. Um, because vampires do not sparkle in the sun. I'm sorry. Oh, Bella, this is why we can't be seen in the daylight. Oh, oh, look at me, I sparkle. Oh, oh. No, you're gonna sparkle from the fire that you're catching on. I would watch Count Blackula again before I ever watched Twilight again. And I only saw the first one. And that's when my kids drug me to the movie theater to see it. I was laughing and they were trying to get me to shut up. And I was like, no, no. And I was like, what the hell is this shit? Because I hadn't read the books, but I knew that they had. And then to see it come to life on the big screen, I was done. I I was dying through the whole movie, and never again. So even when the girlfriend is watching it because it's one of her favorite movies, I'm making fun of it. I'm not in the room most of the time that she's watching it, and that's okay with me, you know. And you guys can have it. It is a horrible, horrible movie. Um, all the way around. Uh, the acting was atrocious. Um, and I just don't get it. I don't see how you can even like it, to be honest. But then people say the same things about all the stuff that I watch. How can you stand watching that? It's so gory and so because it feeds my morbid curiosity with the undead. No, I'm just twisted that way. I like those type of movies and I always have been. Like I said, I saw Jaws at the drive-in when I was probably 4 years old because I think that one came out in '75 when Jaws came out. I think that's when it came out. Was '75? Is that right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And if it was '75, I was 4 years old and watched that one. I remember the shark. That's about all I remember from when I saw it originally. But I've seen it a million times since then. All of them, even the crappy 3D version. A lot of the 3D movies that came out when 3D started becoming so popular, horrible, horrible movies. Friday the 13th in 3D, Piranha 3D, so many others. I think there was even a Nightmare on Elm Street that was 3D as well. But they had to film it. They had to film it in such a way that things were just a little over the top, so that they could get that jump scare from like a spear coming at you and sticking in, and you're like, those type things. Because here it comes, it's actually coming towards you because you got your 3D glasses on. We've got a 3D TV in the bedroom. We haven't even broken into 3D stuff, and we need to, 'cause that would be kind of cool. Oh, but yeah, no. Sometimes you've got to put in the grind, even though you don't feel like it, and that's what today's title is about: is putting in the grind or getting in the grind, whichever one I put out there. I don't know. And there's days that you just don't feel like doing a lot, and but for me, I've got to push myself into it. Um, because I procrastinated too long on the chicken coop, or I could have already had it done 10 times over. And already torn down the other one and moved the stuff around where it was supposed to be and all that stuff. But, me, I didn't do that. And so here it is wintertime again. and the structure's been standing for a little over a year now. Finally got the roof on, and then now it's in the dry. There'll be some more aesthetics on the outside once I get it said and done. And then I've just procrastinated on artwork too, throughout this year. Um, because you don't see an end goal. Uh, Meaning, since I haven't been to any conventions this year, do I have an aquarium running? No, I've got a refrigerator running right behind me. That's the only thing I can think that would give you a hum if that's what you're hearing. Because I'm not hearing anything through the speakers, the headphones up here. And you would be hearing it through this mic, so that would probably be the hum of the refrigerator, but that's odd that you're actually hearing it because we haven't heard it before. And I don't hear it in the recordings when I go back and listen. But it kicks on, it does its whole cycle thing. So I'll let you know when it goes off and see if the hum is still there. And maybe it's the hum of these two being close together as well. Um, because I know electronics don't like to be in close proximity with each other, if you will. And when they do, they cause some interference sometimes. So we'll see. I'll let you know when that refrigerator kicks off from its cooling cycle in there. So I've had to kick my own ass into gear, just because it's well overdue for the chicken coop to be done, and everybody moved into there, and the pigs moved in where the chickens are right now. Getting the other one torn down, using the materials in there for other projects. So many different things that I should have already had done. Um, and the only fish we have is our koi pond with goldfish and a placo out in the backyard, so you wouldn't even hear anything from running from that one, unless you've got Superman ears, and then you can hear a pin drop from a frog's butt from 300 yards away. There you go. There's my analogy. Um, but yeah, no, it's so I've had to kick my ass into gears just because since I don't have an end goal of like, oh, another convention coming up. Oh, I got to get ready for this convention. Oh, I've got to, look at this convention down the road. It's just been like, I'll just take my time on everything. And as I look at it, it's like I've done a lot this year as far as artwork goes, but it's not as much as I would normally do in a year, you know? And it's just like, well, why haven't you? Well, because I just wanted to procrastinate, I guess. I just didn't, you know, see a reason to rush anything. I should have had these artworks done and the third one started and finished already. I should have these two paintings done, you know? And if you're here and you want to, go ahead and join the fan club if you'd like. And thanks for the heart out there, Roy. Much appreciated. I always need a heart. Most people say I don't have one. I'm just not a very emotional guy sometimes. And it shows in certain aspects. Um, that's just me though. That's the era I grew up in. So, and thanks for that right there, Roy. And the other little whatever that thing was. I don't even know what it is. Oh, the Fest Pop. That's what it is. And a rose. Oh, thank you. So yeah, I the era the era we grew up in was the emotionless era. Um, you showed emotions, you got your ass beat, uh, switch, belt, all that good stuff. Um, now everybody wants you to show emotions. And it's just hard to turn that switch on and off. For me anyway. I know a lot of people can turn that on and off. Now, I showed tons of emotion when my son died. Showed tons of emotion when my grandpa died. Showed tons of emotion when my sister died. You know, all those good things. But whenever other things happen around me that aren't related to me as far as family goes or super close friends or anything like that. I'm just indifferent about it. It's not my life. I'm sorry. Just like when celebrities pass on, I could care less. Yeah, they had an impact in my life, like Stan Lee, Stephen Hughes. I met all these guys, but it's not like my life stopped because they passed on. I can feel bad for the families and and feel bad for all the jerks that are saying bad things about all these people, and stuff like that. But as far as, did they pay my rent? Did they send me a letter? Did they send me an email on a regular basis? Did they text me? Did they call me on a daily basis? Okay, then why am I crying over it? You know? And that's just me. It's just like when Ozzy passed away. Yeah, sad day, but we all knew it was inevitable at some point in time. Uh, and great musician, all that good stuff. But the only thing he contributed to my life was great music and some good TVs shows, and a little bit of movie acting, in what was it, Little Nicky, and maybe a few other shows out there. But you know, it's not like he was calling and texting me on a daily basis. Now it would have been different had that been the case. Then I would have been more heartbroken about it. But he was just a musician to me, a great musician. So, when he passed on, okay, he's gone. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go out on my front porch and hold a candle up to the sky and cry my eyes out because he's gone. A black candle at that. And again, that's just me. You know, we avoid the final exit, but sometimes it is the best thing in all our existence. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're all going to get there. Like they say, we're not going to get out of life alive. So you might as well have fun with it now. You know, what is the old kid saying? YOLO. It's all YOLO. You only live once. Stupid. I hate abbreviations. I hated them in the military. I hate them out here because you got to fucking decipher what they're saying, and it's just like, what are you guys trying to say? Just say it. Quit using all this slang term. You know, and it's just like, just say what you want to say. Some of us don't speak, slang or whatever this gibberish is that they speak now. You know, and I know it's the younger generation thing, and us older guys gotta suck it up, Buttercup. But and Buttercup is Roy. He's a Powerpuff Girl. So, um, and it's just like, why do we gotta abbreviate everything? You know, just say what you mean. I you know if you're telling me that you're laughing out loud, go for it. If you're telling me that you're rolling on the floor laughing, go for it. Why do we have to abbreviate it down to just the first letter and then hopefully we're deciphering it correctly? You know, I mean, I could put AHD on all my stuff, and and you'd be like, what the hell does that mean? What does AHD mean? And that would be all hand drawn, you know. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you it's all hand drawn here. Exactly. And the sad part is your phone knows exactly what you want to put in there, you know. And even if you're just texting it and you start the LO and it's like, oh, you're putting LOL in there. Okay, I'll finish it for you. Yes, it's the lazy man's way, the lazy woman's way, the lazy kid's way. You know, and I get it. I mean, I do, but come on, man. Everything does not have to be abbreviated. It's just like the ones. If you can understand what this means, and it basically was relating to us Gen Xers, you know, because if you don't get your ass in this house, you got, um, and I'm glad Roy finally came out and admitted some things to himself. So if you know, you know. Oh, everybody knows my masculinity. It's all good. I don't follow anything that's in California. Sorry, bud. Only some weirdos follow stuff in California, uh, and they like big purses too. So there you go. We give Roy a hard time because he's finally stepping foot out of the closet. It's okay. It's all good. We still love him. And and his favorite wide receiver is Mingo. So that we traded for in Dallas. His That's his favorite player of all time, no matter where he went. And you know, it's okay to like Chippendales, Roy. It's fine. We understand. So, oh lordy. But no, I am looking forward to this year ending and getting the new year started. Because I'm still in debate. I didn't do anything I needed to do to get the business up and running for 2026. So, because I've had a lot of setbacks, and it's of my own doing, you know, and things happen like that, and so I'm really debating 2026 as well. I'm still going to be doing artwork no matter what; doesn't matter. And maybe that's just I need a couple years of downtime before I start getting back into the conventions, you to truly build my stock the way I want it. Because I've still got old stock from 2024 sitting in there that is just going to get trashed, you just because you look to see what sells the most out of everything that you do, and you keep a record of everything that does sell, and so once you chalk it all up, The Crow's a big seller, some Marvel characters are a big seller, horror is a big seller, you know exactly. As Casey said, it's about progress, not perfection, especially to someone else's expectations. And I think that's where we, as artists that do go to comic book conventions, get lost in it all because we are looking at everybody else's expectations of us, you know. And I get asked all the time, "Are you going to be at this convention? Are you going to be at this convention?" And I have to tell them, "No, I'm not going to be at any conventions this year." You know, I would love to be at SpaceCon, at the end of the year, and several other ones, including the one right here put on by a friend of mine. The Fort Smith Comic Con, right here in town. But it's just not. I wish I could some days, but I don't. Now, this year I've probably taken more naps than I have any other time of my life. Um, and it's not just because I wanted to. It's just that I laid down, got comfortable, and boom, I was gone. I was out. And you know, a lot of that has to do with, well, did the pig sleep all night? Did the dog sleep all night? Did the kitten attack our heads in the middle of the night? You know, because it is a zoo around here. I can't lie. And pretty soon we'll probably have an emu, running around in the backyard. And at that point in time, then I do have to get a little bit higher fences. You know, and with an emu, you want them at a young age, and the refrigerator is kicked off. Casey, do you still hear the hum like an aquarium going off? I also have a space heater going on in here because this room has no heat, and I will turn it off to see if that's the hum. Okay, so it must have been the refrigerator. And the only thing I can think, well, I mean that makes no sense because, huh, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea because we've never heard that before, or that I know of. Monty and Casey, does Warner Brothers make movies with DC Comics or like the Avengers movies? They do the Warner Brothers movies like the Conjuring series, and yes, I know Netflix is in bid But Paramount has now put in a counter offer, which is more than what Netflix offered, to buy Warner Brothers and all of its entities. So we'll see how the bidding war goes between the two giants. Um, which is interesting because the person that owns Netflix also owns Oracle, which is a data collection service um, that spies on the world. He used to work for the CIA, the owner of this big corporation that's trying to buy Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is in talks of being purchased. Casey, sorry. Um, and Netflix came in as the top bidder, but now Paramount has come in and said, no, we want to buy the Warner Brother franchise because apparently it's going into bankruptcy or something. Um, or they're just trying to offload it. I don't know. And with that being said, Warner Brothers owns a lot of stake in DC Comics. Um, and anything that's got that Warner Brother logo, Batman from 1989 up until all these movies that have been made, The Conjuring, all of the Warren case file movies are in there included, and a ton of movies are in there. A lot of cartoons are in there and things of that nature. Um, so yeah, now you've got two big players trying to purchase Warner Brothers right now, Netflix and Paramount. So we're gonna see because they've offered, I think Paramount offered $10.5 billion to purchase, and I don't know what the original purchase price was that Netflix offered, but Paramount has now brought in a counter offer that is more than what Netflix was offering to purchase the franchise for. So, and if that happens, I mean, if Netflix were to get it, people were asking, are you still going to let movies happen? Meaning at the theater. Because Netflix, being a streaming service, that's where all of their TV shows and movies go to, is straight to their streaming service. And that is right there. And so that could technically kill Warner Brother movies at the theaters. Because right now that they were saying yes, they would still have movies shown in the theater. Hint, hint. Um, so if that happens and Netflix does purchase it, they will be one of the largest holders of everybody's information all the way around. And there was somebody on Netflix that was talking about it, and I think I reposted it. Um, but it tells you the person that owns these companies and what they used to do because he used to be a member of the CIA and he used to do the Oracle stuff, which gathered Americans and other non-Americans information, which had a big storage database of everybody's information on it, all that good stuff, and um, and so then they would be able to do whatever they really wanted to inside your home. If they did get access to the Warner Brothers franchise, you know, and it's just kind of crazy that that people are monopolizing on all different aspects. I mean, people were up in arms when Disney bought out Marvel, you know, um, because it's a monopoly. They're going to control everything. But now you've got so many other things happening, where people are monopolizing off of certain businesses and things like that. That it's just one. What do they say? Shit rolls downhill, you know, and so everything is rolling, and one person's controlling the roll, you know, and it's just it's stuff to just look into. Go do your research on the stuff, and and that's with anything. That's with politics, religion, those two items we don't talk about here. Comic books, if you want to know what the first comic books were, go do your research. I mean, you can come here and get some comprehensive knowledge because I know a little bit about a lot. I don't know everything about everything, and I can admit that, And if I don't know it, I'll fucking look it up right here, right now, you know. Just like when Dan was in here the other day, and we were talking about comic books in DC, how it was the first or first book out there, which kind of it was, but it was under a national something or other. And then just like Marvel was under Timely, you know. Well, I hope so, because I don't have all the information. I can't retain everything that I hear and read and see, but I will go do my own research, you know, and I will look at many different sources. I don't look at just one source here, one source here. Whenever I pull up a Google search on something, I will hit every search on that first page. Whatever platform it's on. Doesn't matter to me. Now, if it's just your straight biased news channels, Fox, MSNBC, whatever, I will look for something off the chain. I won't go to those mainstreams. Sorry, I just won't. Because yes, they could have a little bit of the truth in there, and I when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit of truth in there. But you got to look at the whole picture, no matter what you're researching. If you want to research about Copic markers, don't just go to Copic. They're going to tell you these are the best markers out there that will last you a lifetime, and they will. But you got to buy nibs, you got to buy ink, refills, all that good stuff. When in reality, they really want you just to buy the marker itself. They don't care if you buy the refill, because most of the time they don't even sell the refill. It's another company that sells the refill. So, buddy, like you said, Stanley, who is Hughes or Hughes? What? Stan Lee, the creator of most Marvel stuff, the Godfather. I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. You know, when it came to comic books, the leader. I mean, he blew away DC Comics when he came on the scene, and he was a young punk kid that was handing coffee off to artists and writers alike until he was like, I can write better stories than half of these guys. Huh, well, prove it. Okay, here you go. Here's one I wrote just the other day, and then boom, instant success for him. You know, and then wartime hit. He went off to war, came back, and started creating characters like crazy, and started writing so much more. And then he started looking. Hey, you're an awesome writer. Hey, I want you to write this story. And so a legend was born until they kicked him to the curb. And then he went to work for DC and wrote a few stories in there. Yes, Stan Lee was under DC for a short bit, uh, but he was always the Marvel guy, you know. And they've even talked about bringing him back CGI wise, AI version, to star in them, or not star, but to be the cameo in the Marvel movies. And people were like, "Don't do that. If his heart and soul isn't going to be there, don't do it." You know, and that's the problem with AI. It has no heart or soul. A lot of people are going to be proponents for it. A lot of people are going to do this, that, and the other. But there's no heart and soul in AI artwork. You know, dysfunctional company. Hold on just a second. I'll tell you. I used to know it right off the top of my head, um, because, like I said, they started out as a different company, um, and then they jumped over to DC. And I'm going to tell you what it means here in a minute. Discounted content or discontinued content, because a lot of their stuff isn't relevant anymore in today's times. They've got some good stuff in like Absolute Batman and all the Absolute lines that are happening right now, but and if these are right with what it means, then it means Detective Comics. Yeah, that's what it means, Detective Comics, which makes no sense to me. I know that's one of their titles that brought Batman into the world, but that's just stupid. I'm sorry, that's just stupid. Um, but yeah, that's what it stands for, Detective Comics. I knew it at one point in time, and I guess it was so stupid that I was just like, that can't be true. But that's what it means, Detective Comics. I'm sorry that I had to look that up. Detective, but yeah, that is the stupidest. Marvel is just it. Marvel is, a marvel to wonder. It is a ninth marvel of the world or eighth wonder of the world and things like that. So, and a lot of people hate Marvel comics as well. You get strictly people that are only DC, only Marvel. They don't go off of, they don't even get independent titles, period. You know, their love is for Superman, Aquaman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all those mainstream characters that you see all the time. Um, yes, I've got a love for Batman. Always have. Just because it's a dark, brooding character. It was even whenever it was first written, it was still a little bit on the dark side, even though it was a bright comic book. You know, because it is a detective's comic book. And then of course Marvel has my love for Uncanny X Men and all the characters that come through there. Spider Man's okay. He's just a quirky young kid, that spouts off a lot of stuff. Uh, Ghost Rider, better character in my opinion. Never been written correctly in my thoughts, but it is a great character. The Demon on the DC side, great Etrigan stuff. Um, little bits and things like that here and there. But all that being said, there's so much good out there when it comes to comic books, you know, and there's so much bad out there too. Oh, you mean Stephen Hughes? And that's an Hughes, almost like Hugh Hefner. You know who he is. Stephen Hughes was an American comic book artist who made famous Lady Death, big boobed female. Um, right here. This isn't his artwork, but this is her today. Dun dun dun. Lady Death, very scantily clad figure out there, and I'll show you his artwork once I peel it out from behind Freddy Krueger here. Bump Bump and Wolverine. But this is Stephen Hughes artwork right here. The woman in the back, big boobs, scantily clad, and this is autographed by them all: Brian Paluto, Jason Jensen, Stephen Hughes, and I couldn't tell you who that one is. Right off the top of my head, it's probably the inker or the writer or something like that. But Brian Paluto was generally writing the stuff. But yeah, Stephen Hughes, he passed away in the '90s due to cancer. Sad. It was a sad day for whenever that happened because he was seriously an up and comer when it came to all these characters that he was drawing for Chaos Comics and Brian Paluto. Great dude. Met him several times. Met him two different times at two different conventions. One was in Tulsa and one was in Dallas, I believe. But great people. I mean, Jason Jensen was awesome. He was the inker. You had Stephen Hughes, the artist, phenomenal guy, likable guy. His head didn't match his body. He had this little bitty head, you know. and these really thick glasses. But he was a great dude. Um, Brian Paluto, good dude. And then the other guy, I can't remember what his name is right off the top of my head. Another, I mean, they were all just great guys to deal with and talk to, you know. And they were pretty much down to earth. I mean, they were like me talking to you guys out there. You know, they didn't care who they talked to. You know, they were in it because they loved the people. Now it got m- misconstrued later on, and you know, things happened. He had to shop his characters around to different companies for a while after Chaos Comics collapsed. And you can read about Chaos Comics out there if you want the whole history on Wikipedia. I'm sure it's out there. Uh, and it's chaos with an exclamation point and then comics. How it always was. Chaos. And Brian Paluto, the creator of the Chaos universe, um, Evil Ernie was based off of him. So the wild hair, the the leather jackets, all that good stuff, that was him to a T. I mean, he had that rocker hair that was all over the place, just like you saw in that picture there. So, and that's who Stephen Hughes based Evil Ernie off of, and I'm pretty sure you know even Brian was like, hey, use my likeness for this evil character, you know. So, and you know it's worked out for him. You know, he's under Coffin Comics now, and it's doing tons better than Chaos ever could have thought to imagine, even though he only owns one of his original characters, you know, and that's Lady Death. Everything else is under Dynamite Entertainment. They bought the Chaos Comics brand. They bought all of the characters except for Lady Death because he retained the rights to that one. But all of his other characters, Evil Ernie, Smiley the Psychotic Button, uh, Purgatory, Chastity, the list goes on and on. Cremator, you know, so on and so forth. Everything got stayed with Chaos title, you know, as a whole, and so he unfortunately lost all the rights to everything except for Lady Death, which I'm surprised he didn't keep Evil Ernie since that was his first creation, um, way back in the day, and that comic book is worth a ton. Kind of like the Crow, if you have that one in the first print, you know, from when it first rolled out uh, back in the '80s, then you're sitting on a gold mine with any of those, especially if you get it graded. But you know, unfortunately, I do not have any of those originals like that. I do have you know the graphic novel and things like that, but and uh, and it's just cool to have stuff like that. But you would like to own the originals, but you know all that goody good stuff. Thanks for the gifts out there. Much appreciated. We're at 37.6 thousand likes. But I think we're going to kill it for today. Got some things I got to get done. I got some animals to take care of because they're going to be stirring here in just a little bit. But I do appreciate each and every one of you being here and chatting this up, asking us questions, thought provoking questions that we have to go check on. And we love you all out there. And as we like to say, as we leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.